Hello, ContraPoints. Thou darest question the wisdom of my teachings. Absolutely blasphemous, if anything. But don't worry, as I said, you will be spared from the inquisition of the Emperor, beloved by all, since you have expressed a suitable amount of admiration for my aesthetics. Now, what you need to realize, ContraPoints, and what all of your followers need to realize is that I'm a great guy, and that I'm really humble. Not only that, but you need to realize what my problem with degeneracy is. Now, for you, ContraPoints, I mean, you're still a heretic and an enemy of the Imperium, and you are a demonette of Slanesh and everything like that, but I still like you. And I've nothing against you, and I've nothing against individuals like you either, because that is not the problem. Now, you see, the problem lies within the fact that there are 18-year-old guys who have been addicted to porn for 5 years. That is a problem, and I mean, that is not an isolated example. It's quite common, actually. It's quite common that a lot of not only Western guys look at Japan as well. If you want to see how porn can absolutely wreck a society, look at Japan. It's only natural that I see a problem with that, and I label it degeneracy because it is degeneracy, and it is a threat towards my civilization, and to all civilization for that matter. I also have a problem with the fact that when I obtain a Gloriana class demigoddess, then I will have a few sons and a few daughters, and I don't want my daughters, even without the multicultural aspect of it all, I don't want them to grow up in today's Western society when they are taught since their early teens that they should be sexual objects and only view themselves as such. I mean, it's not a good place for a woman to grow up, and these feminists, they hate women. I like women, however. That is why I look out for the best for women, and then I say it's not good to view yourself as a sexual object. Treat yourself with some dignity. That is my problem with degeneracy. So you see, it's not that I want to send out right-wing death squads to illuminate sexual deviants. I want to keep the sexual deviants, yeah, they can exist as long as they don't infiltrate the mainstream and try to influence the mainstream with degenerate ideals, because this is the situation. The nuclear family is the bedrock of society, and it's under attack. 800 years ago, when the Mongols invaded the Middle East and Europe, it was a threat of violence, a physical war. Now it is a metaphysical war, it is a culture war. The threat looks completely different. It's not as obvious because, you know, it's not an enemy army that is coming at you, but it is a severe threat anyway. As you can see, the West is declining and falling as we speak because of the nuclear family. Now, how could I then not want to do my part in combating this demon of degeneracy then? So you see, yet again, you are not the problem. The problem is no-fault divorces. The problem is Hollywood culture. The problem is porn. These are the kind of problems that applies to most people. A few degenerates who want to live their lives, that is not the problem. That is not the issue. The issue is that the mainstream culture is extremely decadent and degenerate, and that has an effect on society at large. I mean, for you, how can you not be against the porn industry? It is an industry that destroys the lives of women and saps the life joy out of young men. You cannot possibly defend this. No one can, because it is pure evil. Simple as that. Now, lastly, I also want to say that you are a heretic and an enemy of the Imperium, but you're intelligent enough to realize the following. Ask yourself, the guys who are writing, kill yourself you fucking degenerate, the guys who are writing, oh, we should kill all of this group or that group, do you think they are my guys, or do you think that maybe someone behind the curtains comes up to them and says, here's a shekel for a good boy, now make their aesthetics appear unattractive? Now you see, my vision is to win the culture war, and this is being done by presenting our views in an attractive manner. The guys who are coming with hateful and edgy and angry comments, are they promoting my vision? No, they're not. So they're not my guys, obviously. They're not my disciples who actively try to...
I think I surprised myself recently when I realized that I have not taken time on this channel to talk about the Golden One, who also refers to himself as the Golden Lion. ContraPoints has made a few videos that I think are exceptional on the Golden One, and I think captured that delicate balance you have to have when handling this guy. That he's very buffoonish, but that doesn't mean that he's not dangerous. That's kind of my approach to the Golden One. That's my perspective on him. Is, let's say that the Golden One is not smart. Let's say that the Golden One came upon his fascist ideals honestly, that like he's not cynical like Richard Spencer. He's not a failed Republican operative who just found a different way to brand their ascension into political power. Let's say that the Golden One is a good-natured fool. I don't think that's a good reason to give the guy a pass. And I'm not saying that ContraPoints gave him a pass, but I've seen some sentiment here and there, which doesn't make people bad, but I've seen some kind of sentiment of like, the Golden One is a genuine moron. He's got good intentions, but he's, been led down the wrong path. And I don't give a shit about any of that stuff. You shouldn't either. Excuse me. You shouldn't really give a shit about whether Mouthy Buddha's a nice guy caught up in his beliefs about the alt-right, because that was Mouthy Buddha's narrative too. Is that look, I'm a seeker. And on my journey, I accidentally slipped and fell on the alt-right. We're not here to make investigations about who's nice, who's smart, who's dumb. I don't give a fuck why you're into Nazi shit. The outcome and the consequence of your ignorance, your irresponsibility, your fumbling into Nazism with good intentions, whether it doesn't really change the outcome. It's not like when the Holocaust is over at Nuremberg, they're gonna be like, but were you a good boy? Did you mean well? It's incredibly tired, but it is a maxim for a reason. The road to hell. The road to hell is always paved with good intentions. The Moa, who is one of my favorite YouTubers, excuse me. I stumbled over my own accent there for a second. The Moa, who does a lot of anti-alt-right videos and deconstructs the talking points of the alt-right. He did a really great video that I mirrored here about millennial woes. Made an interesting point that most of these movements are like 50% fools and 50% frauds. That's me paraphrasing. So like half of the people leading the alt-right are like Spencer or Lana Lockteff or Gavin McInnes or Milo Yiannopoulos. They're cynical attention seekers. And then the other half are true believers, and that's the right-wing money machine. It's a series of charlatans exploiting a bunch of sheep, a bunch of fools, a bunch of dummies who mean well, a bunch of dummies who buy the argument that the problem is anything other than capitalism. Because everything that the Golden One bitches about here, everything that he thinks is undermining the family, decadence, supposedly, degeneracy, supposedly, everything that he perceives as such are just symptoms of late-stage capitalism. Fascism has always been a way at the end of capitalism to deflect. This is why right-leaning liberals defend fascists, is because fascism is a component of capitalism. It's not independent of capitalism. It is the final form of capitalism. Right when capitalism is like completely done with democracy and can no longer maintain the illusion of freedom, that's never actually present because capitalism demands slaves. Of all kinds, from the slave that builds your iPhone to the slave that uses the iPhone to the slave that makes content for the iPhone, they're all fucking slaves. From the middle manager in a corporate office to the the vice president of the company, they're all fucking slaves to capital. They're all slaves to wealth and old money and existing hierarchical power structures. So, fascism is meant to deflect blame of the crimes of capitalism onto social issues, onto moral failings, more personal responsibility culture. The economy's collapsing because people are genderqueer. The environment is deteriorating because women are decadent. The reason that families are not able to hold together is not because companies are not paying a living wage, but rather because women should be getting married. Because if they weren't getting married, then they wouldn't be in poverty. This is an old conservative strategy that sort of gets seeded in the mainstream conservative movement and then gets puffed out when they go full fascist, full Nazi. So, yes, Western civilization is currently crumbling, but it is because of neoliberal capitalism, the excesses and decadence and degeneracy of capital and capitalists. Now, instead of reacting to that by abolishing capital, by abolishing hierarchy, these right-wing morons in the alt-right, like the fascists who came before them when capitalism in Germany and Eastern Europe, Eastern and Western Europe had a financial collapse around the same time, because Eastern Europe went with communism, authoritarian communism, and Germany went with fascism. So did eventually Spain and Italy. But fascism in those times too were also a response to financial collapse, the capitalist war machine. That's why Hitler was so capable of mobilizing people against bankers, is because he obfuscated the actual problem. The problem is not a conspiracy of Jewish bankers, right? That was his narrative to Germany, was that there's some kind of a conspiracy of Jewish bankers fucking us out of our quality of life. No, the conspiracy was a conspiracy of capital, of white Protestant proper German bankers. It didn't matter what their race was. It didn't matter what their religion was. The problem in a capitalist society that leaves people starving, homeless, and without medical care is fucking greed. That's the true degeneracy. That's the true decadence. It has nothing to do with moral, a failure of moral pulchritude. It is a metastasis. It is a cancerous system called capitalism.